Well, tensions escalated in Bangladesh's port city of Chittagong as security forces launched a massive crackdown on the minority Hindu community. This crackdown comes a mere week after the city saw massive rallies by Hindus over sedition cases that were slapped on community leaders. The crackdown by Bangladeshi forces against Hindus unfolded in the Hazari Gali area at around 10:30 p.m. on the 5th of November. This area is a predominantly Hindu neighborhood known for its ornament shops and wholesale medicine outlets. It saw an abrupt closure of business amid overnight clashes. But what sparked all this is the big question. A member of the radical Islamic group Jamaat-e-Islami posted derogatory remarks against Hindus on Facebook. The member has been identified as Osman Ali, who has now admitted to insulting the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, branding it a terrorist organization. In response, Hindu residents gathered outside Ali's shop to protest the offensive post. As the Hindu community members demonstrated against the objectionable content, the Muslim community gathered as well, and a violent confrontation ensued. Law enforcement agencies, including the police and the Bangladesh Army, were soon sent to the spot. They were deployed to disperse the ground and restore law and order. However, the situation spiraled out of control even further. The Bangladeshi Army and soldiers started attacking the protesters. CCTV footage from the Hazari Gali area showcases scenes of absolute chaos as security personnel clashed with Hindu civilians, and several local residents began recording videos as well. These residents recorded videos from behind curtains or from their rooftops. In the videos that are now making rounds on social media, the Bangladesh Army officials can be seen with soldiers from the paramilitary border guards, Bangladesh and local policemen. Security forces can be seen chasing Hindu residents through the streets of Chittagong. The police and army officials pursued the Hindu minority residents with batons in hand, and CCTV footage also captures the officials beating the residents black and blue. Several residents suffered deep wounds and lacerations as a result of this assault. But that is not all. Footage also captures the law enforcement agencies in Bangladesh raiding the homes of Hindus in Hazari Gali and neighborhood localities. In fact, while conducting door-to-door searches, the officials had their eye out for CCTV cameras. The security personnel then deliberately dismantled these CCTV cameras to prevent further documentation of this violence. As Hindu houses were completely ransacked by authorities in Chittagong, cases were filed, in fact, against 582 Hindus. Until now, 200 Hindus have been arrested. This violence against the Hindu community, which constitutes about 8% of the population, follows a worrying trend of escalating attacks on minorities in Bangladesh. And obviously, this is something that we are going to discuss with our guest. Joining us on the show is Zavina Sikri, former Indian High Commissioner to Bangladesh. Yuvraj Pokharna, columnist and political commentator, also with us on the program. Joyita Basu, editor of the Sunday Guardian, will also be joining us. And last but by no means the least, Gautam Mukherjee, senior journalist, with us on the show as well. Ambassador Sikri, I'll begin with you, ma'am. We just discussed what happened just a few days back, and now there's been a further escalation. And it seems to me that the police and the law enforcement in this case is hand in glove when it comes to not stopping or being complicit in these attacks against Hindus. Now, Donald Trump just a few days ago, ma'am, had said that the Hindus and their plight in Bangladesh needs to be given proper attention. He's in the saddle now. Is this also a message to Bangladesh, from a country like the United States? But what about India? Why aren't we sending them a strong message?
Well, I think we should. I think certainly, I'm sure the government is following it very carefully. And as you know, in earlier circumstances, after the 5th of August, when the principal attack against the Hindus and other minorities happened, our Prime Minister had sent quite an unequivocal message and taken it up also from the ramparts of the Red Fort and discussed it with former President Biden as well. I think this, what has happened in Chittagong, is very worrisome because it is part of this continuing trend, but there are 2 or 3 factors which are very worrying in this. First of all, this so-called Facebook post. Now, this Facebook posts have been used in Bangladesh as a method of inciting communal incidents. And I think this shopkeeper, Osman Ali, who has put this Facebook post, is also supposed to be, he's considered to be members of Jamaat-e-Islami, and he's very deliberately attacking ISKCON as well as the Hindu religion. Now, we know that ISKCON has played a big role in raising international awareness and consciousness about the attacks on the Hindu and other minorities in Bangladesh after 5th of August, when former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina left. So this would be his target, that to criticize ISKCON and calling them a terrorist organization because they have been doing this. Now, the response to this was that, of course, the members of the Hindu community who are very predominant in this area, the Hazari Gali area, they're very rich businessmen, they are doing very well, and it's a very predominant Hindu locality in that area. They gathered there and, asked the shopkeeper, there was an altercation, and a clash occurred. The policemen came in and took away the Usman Ali for his own safe custody, and then they returned with the army. Now, this presence of the army and the soldiers particularly is a serious matter, because the army is not supposed to be participating in such communal incidents. And we do know that recently in October in Khagrachari, in the Chittagong Hill Tracts region, once again the army was seen as participating when there were attacks on the Buddhist minority, and the Bengali settlers as well as the army were together said to have attacked the Buddhist minorities and burnt their homes and so on. So once again, second time we see the army participating, and a great deal of violence against the Hindu minority. Now, this participation of the army should certainly be called out, because if they are going to participate in such communal incidents, then they should not be allowed to participate in UN peacekeeping operations. They should really be withdrawn from that, because this is not what they are supposed to be doing. And I believe that in this case, in Hazari Gali area, first a few members of the army soldiers came, and then there were reinforcements from the army. So the second time they returned with further reinforcements, which is even more worrisome, and which strengthened the intensity of the clashes. And of course, this is an area where the jewelers and so on sit, so they had some acid because they worked with gold, and so this acid was also tossed together with bricks and so on. A very, very deplorable incident indeed. And now it seems that more than 300 people have been named, and maybe already 200 are already in jail. Now, this is the second part, that they then put a large number of people in jail and then remove them from any kind of other activity, including their own economic activity, their own businesses, but also prevent them from participating in the life, the socio-economic life of the country. So I think this is another very worrisome trend, and as the elections are, as they say, are coming nearer and nearer, they want more and more people to be in jail, in the thousands, in the hundreds and thousands, so that there will be fewer of those who are seen as opposing the interim government and the Jamaat-e-Islami. Chittagong is a very, very it's a cauldron of an area, because it's very strong Islamic credentials. The area, the Father the Islam is based there. A lot of presence of Jamaat-e-Islami, but also a very big presence of the minorities, the Hindus and other minorities. Many of them doing very well in business and so on. So this is a really deplorable incident, and I do hope that the world will take notice of it, and certainly, as you said, President Trump had made that very strong statement about the barbaric attacks on the Hindus and other minorities in Bangladesh, and he would, I'm sure, take note of this, but this is added to what he said earlier about the chaos in Bangladesh.
All right. Joyita, what do you make of the situation? Mohammed Yunus obviously appearing to be, not very effective for starters, and secondly, also not very keen. If you remember, just a few weeks ago, he in fact blamed all this violence on Hindus, saying that, even if you do want to practice your religion, you have to keep it on a down low in a country like Bangladesh, because obviously people have their patience. What did he mean by that?
Well, first of all, Mohammed Yunus is an embarrassment. I'm shocked. The very fact, the way this guy is turning out to be, it is more than shocking that the Nobel Committee or Peace Committee or whatever, they gave up Nobel Peace Prize to him. But then there is talk, once you are close to the Clintons and once you have given funds to them and all. So yeah, there are certain ways of getting Nobel Peace Prize, but frankly this man is an embarrassment. And the very fact that, he has been trying to push under the carpet all that has been happening when it comes to the persecution of the Hindus that is going on in Bangladesh. He has been saying it's exaggerated. when he went to the US, during the UNG assembly, apart from, being hugged by Joe Biden, what exactly did he do? He went around giving interviews that, nothing is happening in Bangladesh, everything is hunky-dory. But frankly, if you ask me, whatever is going to happen to him now that Trump is here, he deserves every little bit of it, because he asked for it. And it's good, because Trump has already not only talked about the persecution of Hindus in Bangladesh, but he has earlier, if you remember, and it's now actually in the public domain, that he had said, who is this man, this microfinance guy who has been spending money to make me lose. So, yeah, he is in the crosshairs of Trump, and I hope he deserves his just desserts, and he should get it. And the thing is that all those people.
But that's fine, he deserves it. But what about the Hindus? What is India going to do about this?
What can we do about it? We cannot send our troops in, can we? No, we cannot. So, what are we going to do about it? We have to wait and see how things pan out. There will be sanctions on Bangladesh. Sanctions will have to be imposed on them. This government, that is the so-called interim government that is there, that will have to go. The thing is, you see, they are saying, yeah, we will hold elections in sometime in the future, in the next 2 years or something like that. Sorry, it does not work like that. Their constitution says 3 months. I think 3 months are over. So, whatever the government is, it's an unelected, illegitimate government. Pressure has to be brought on them. And the very fact that this man has to be held to account, whatever he is trying to do, say for example, I am going to ban the Awami League students union. There are plans to ban Awami League from participating. Cannot happen. Let there be a democratic election, and this man should be forced to hold the election in the next couple of months. And that is, we need a proper government in Bangladesh. Bangladesh needs a proper government which will be taking, and the Riot Act has to be read to them, that if you continue like this, you are the ones who should be part of that, in that USCIRF country sheet that they come out with, where they have been trying to put India, and you have to be sanctioned. There has to be sanctions on Bangladesh.
Gautam, sanctions on Bangladesh. There are more ways of putting pressure on Bangladesh than one here, right? Of course, let's not forget that India has a great deal of businesses going on in Bangladesh as well. They are dependent on us for a number of things, electricity being one of them. So far, nothing really has fructified when it comes to the concern that has been shown by lawmakers in India. What do you think will actually work?
Yes, I agree with you, Vineet, that the idea of economic sanctions, without them being formalized, but happening on a case-to-case basis, because we often protest sanctions when they're imposed on other countries and ourselves. Recently, we've had 19 of our companies sanctioned by the United States for dealing with Russia. So we are not really very fond of sanctions, but if you see, recently Adani seems to have pulled a success. His electricity plant was supplying a great deal of electricity exclusively. That plant is dedicated to Bangladesh, and they had run up a bill of over 800 million, which they hadn't paid. Some 10% is all they paid, 80. Adani said, well, I'm going to cut it off, as it were, by the 7th, today. So Bangladesh coughed up the money, and the deal has been renegotiated. Electricity is being supplied, and a backup plan has been created by Adani, so that if they misbehave again, the electricity will be directed elsewhere. So, because electricity is perishable, you've got to have things in place, and you either send it to one place or you send it to another. Similarly, we supply a lot of the raw yarn for their textiles. This can be, choked off. There are multiple ways in which India can bring pressure to bear in a quiet way on Bangladesh, and also in in a sense waiting for them to make changes so that we can discontinue such pressures. So this is the process. But insofar as it goes, it appears to me that the interim government is not properly in charge. There are several factions. The BNP is relatively ineffective. The Islamists seem to be calling the shots, and they are interested in overthrowing, I believe, the Bangladeshi constitution and going the whole hog into an Islamic Sharia state. And that is why they are at the front of attacks on Hindus and minorities. So it is sort of a battle within a battle. One is a revolution that got rid of Hasina and is oppressing, suppressing the Awami League. The other is the Islamists are trying to get rid of all the other political parties and declare Bangladesh as an Islamic state. That they're working, it's a work in progress. Vineet.
All right. Important points, and we can definitely turn off the lights. And Yuvraj, do you think perhaps if nothing works, that's exactly what India should do?
Vineet, let me not pull back my punches and let me call spade a spade.
Please don't.
Yeah. So, these are sorry and precarious times, but these are not the right time. But let me cite George Santana, who rightly said that those who do not learn from the lessons of history are doomed to repeat them. So, if you pull up the history pages from Bangladesh, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran, Lebanon, or any country, once the Islamic revolution or militancy starts, these jihadis, till the end of the day, till the end of the earth, they transmogrify a nation into a Shariat or Islamic state. Tell me one Islamic state which is secular. There is none. And if you debate Taliban, your viewers should know that Taliban comes from the word Talib. Talib means a true seeker, a true student of Islam. So this is the face of any Islamic state. And let us cite some numbers. In 1951, the Hindu population in Bangladesh was 22%, which has plummeted to barely 8% in 2023. So what changed? What changed? And many people argue with me that it is India who fomented this Mukti Bahini and the freedom struggle in 1971. But no, I'm sorry. Even after 1971, from 1971 to 2013, there have been an influx of 1 million refugees from Bangladesh to Bharat. And these are not my fictional numbers. These numbers are given to me by US State Department, and these are available in public domain. So whether it is UN, whether it is European Union or US Commission on International Religious Freedom, everybody has expressed deep concerns over minority persecutions in Bangladesh. So I need to sum up what my point is. You cannot fight violence with ideas. You cannot fight jihadism with these sanctions. So it is high time that India should intervene first economically, but diplomatically, but sooner or later militarily. This is high time.
All right, Joyita, just a few concluding thoughts from you, Ambassador Veena Sikri, before we leave. 30 seconds, starting with Joyita, and then of course we'll also have Gautam Mukherjee weigh in on this. It's high time. If we are being aggressive with Bangladesh, Joyita, might as well issue statements through the proper channels and warn them.
Yes, put pressure on them. That is something that has to be done, because frankly, it looks like Bangladesh never learns, and the whole point is that this cannot go on. Ultimately, these people will all come to our country, will have to come to our country. There is talk that by 2030 it may happen that there may not be a single Hindu left in that country, and that is a very precarious, that's just not acceptable. You see, the whole point is that there has to be solid, severe pressure on them. But yes, considering, you just, before the sanctions come, I think it is frankly, I mean, okay, we are going to take a hit in terms of trade and all, just turn the tap off temporarily, you know, make it conditional in terms of trade, you know, because they get half their goods from us. They just do not have anything in that country, nothing except for the textile industry and all. Just turn the tap off. I mean, tap off. Say for example, we send them so many of these, apart from electricity, their textile industry is standing on the textile that we send over there. The government industry is standing on that. Just turn the tap off for some time, and only once they learn that you will do something
Venus
about
Sikri, concluding thoughts, ma'am. 30 seconds, ma'am.
If I may.
1 second, Yuvraj. Go on, ma'am.
Yeah, certainly the situation certainly cannot be allowed to continue because there are too many repeat instances. Now, a combination of economic sanctions, yes, I think in a way already we have shown that we are very firm on that, and I think the example of Adani's electricity supply being cut off by 50% and then the rest of the money coming in is a good example that yes, Bangladesh will respond because the economy is right now falling off the cliff. Their export orders are down and they need desperately to revive it. But I think the biggest instance now is the global community's censure on this issue. This is very important. We have already censured, we will continue to censure, we should continue to take it up. But what ISKCON has been doing, what the Ramakrishna Mission has been doing, that global focus on that is vital, because otherwise the attacks on the minorities will increase to such an extent that they will be forced, they want to stay there. They have said they're determined to stay on as citizens of Bangladesh. But forced to leave. We have to work on economic sanctions plus global community.
Absolutely. Gautam Mukherjee, 10 seconds, and then Yuvraj 10 seconds, and we wrap up.
Well, I'm hoping, Vineet, that with the change of government happening in the United States, a momentous change, and a very powerful president now with also Congress and the Senate with him, that he will start putting pressure on Bangladesh. I think there is some indication that he might. Because
all right. Yuvraj, quickly, please.
Down.
I can't hear you. Quickly, please.
Hello?
Yeah, 5 seconds.
Bangladesh is a nation that owes its existence to us, and this is their way of showing gratitude. Now when PM Modi is in power and we don't have President Nixon, we have President Donald Trump. This is the right time to hit in. And I think this is right time to intervene militarily.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.